time they played the Spurs, right? By closing that game with Ant and that disaster where he didn't, take the layup at the end of the game happened. Yep. It's like, I mean, I'm totally here, like all of the Saunders stuff, and there are, and I've nitpicked it on my podcast. There's plenty of things to like this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. But it's what I just said to you. It's like, okay, so this is bad, but what was the alternative?
Exactly.
And the alternative is it's always so limited because there's not good other options like out on the team too. So it's just a mess. It's a mess.
Yeah, and I think I was just gonna say I think Culver being out was really a big blow that game, especially because I think Culver possibly could have played that role in crunch.
I was thinking that too. I'm with you. Yeah.
What were your thoughts on that foul, on that, like the hack-a-shack with Pirtle there?
Yeah, that was interesting. We haven't seen that in a while, right? I don't know. Saunders talked about it a little bit after the game, and he referred to Pirtle as a 20% free throw shooter, which I was like, all right, maybe that's like a little much. Maybe he should 20% this year. I don't think the odds are that he would, that he would miss both of them. But what he also said is like we weren't getting stops. So it's basically just like the idea of, all right, odds are here that Pirtle makes one of these, and the odds that we stop DeRozan are what, 25%. So it's 75% chance that he scores a 2. So that's 1.5. Like I think the math checks out there, not because it's always a good strategy, but it's a good strategy when you're not defending at all. Like which. They weren't. They were just going to give the ball to DeRozan, and it was probably going to be him getting 2 points or kicking out to somebody for an open 3. I think that's just what was going to happen.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh gosh. Okay. We're not used to doing this.
It's different. You got to pass the baton.
It's tough with the 2 people for sure.
But what I was going to say is like when I saw him do that, I was like, wow, like we're actually getting some like good coach like that. I don't know. That excited me at least, but. If we would have just got the rebound, it would have looked a little bit better.
There have been more things like that too. I think it all depends on what like lens you look at it through, right? And that's why I try and like stay in the middle. I try and see the things that Ryan's doing wrong, and I try and see the things that Ryan's doing right. And just when I've like texted some other like coaches and scouts and people that I know, like they'll point out like negative things, but one thing numerous people have pointed out to me is that like they've said Ryan has really good ATOs. And like those have been really effective for this team. So I think it's like I think it's wrong to say he's completely incompetent as a coach, as seems to be the abiding narrative right now. Does that make him a great coach? No. My personal opinion is I don't know. I mean, probably not. But we haven't got to see him coach like anything but a G League team for pretty much 3 years,
Yeah, and I've like you were saying, I've seen improvements these past few games, even because he's developing too as a coach, just like the players with how young he is.
That's a good point.
It was great to see because Peyton and I were talking about this. It seems like there's always just like a set in stone rotation every game. Like the starters are going to play this amount of minutes, the bench is going to play this minutes. The platoon rotation is what he's doing right now, and it was nice to see D'Lo running with the 2s a little bit because I really thought he helped them score. And it was nice to see. I think they had some of the 2s running with the 1s too when D'Lo was resting. So I kind of liked mixed matching a little bit with that.
It's weird though, like what you sacrifice in there is like, so D'Lo subs out 6 minutes into the quarter, right? And then he subs back in for like the last 2 or 3 minutes of the quarter, and then he's back out at the beginning of the second quarter.
Yeah,
and I would just imagine as a player that would be very disorienting, And so we've asked Ryan about that a lot of times. So what Ryan says it's because they want to have D'Lo in at the end of quarters, at the end of every quarter for like the bonus, which again is, I think this is one of the examples of like one of those smart things, but like just doing like the most analytically smart thing all the time, sometimes, in my opinion, like neglects to acknowledge the human element of some sort of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just feel like, I don't know, if there's a way to like analyze how this whole bonus thing has worked, somebody tell me. But it just feels off, and it leads to this whole thing where where D'Lo's the rotation, it leads to the rotation feeling extremely structured.
Yeah.
And I'm with you there, and that just doesn't feel right. It's and I'm sure you guys watch other NBA teams too. It's not like that with every other team in the NBA, and I think that's something to acknowledge.
Yeah, like I was watching the Jazz a lot after we played them.